What's up guys, Cobra Trains here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you 6 reasons why you need to start weighted calisthenics. Now let's talk about what weighted calisthenics is, and to put it simply, it's the concept of adding extra resistance to your own body weight. Now this can be achieved by adding either weights, a whole human, or you can train in the gravity chamber like our weighted calisthenics pioneer, Goku and Vegeta. Having said all that though, weighted calisthenics is still under the umbrella of bodyweight training. It's just another tier of that specific style of training. So I don't want to hear none of y'all in the comments talking about, oh, that's not calisthenics, that's just weight training. Stop it, alright? Now, that being said, the first reason why you need to start weighted calisthenics is because you're going to get jacked in the right areas. You're going to be putting on some good muscle mass, okay? And ultimately, this is like one of the biggest shockers that I have when people ask me, how did I get so much mass, right? Especially in specific areas like my back, my shoulders, and my arms. But is it really that surprising though? Because I can guarantee you that a lot of people will consider the basic exercises of calisthenics, such as the push-ups, the pull-ups, dips, will be taken as a challenge whenever you take it to actual failure. And another thing too is that they even attribute their beginning gains as a way to build up some foundational strength to get into the gym. My question is, why stop there? Why limit the potential of these calisthenic fundamental exercises? It just doesn't make no sense when there's a plethora of gains to be made still by simply adding progressive overload to those bodyweight exercises, such as your pull-ups, your dips, your push-ups, and so on. That's really where the real challenge kicks in, once you start adding weight to those exercises. Like, no cap, man. So if you train the weighted pull-ups and treat it like a primary lift, right? Meaning you're training it 2 times per week, one session where it's strength based, meaning you're working in with the lower rep ranges for heavier loads, and another session where it's hypertrophy based, meaning you're working with higher rep ranges with moderately heavy loads. If you do that, you're going to get an impressive back. And that's exactly how many people who do weighted calisthenics got their physiques, particularly to their back, because they just be spamming the weighted pull-ups or any other variation of the weighted pull-up itself, like a neutral grip pull-up, chin-ups, wide grip pull-up, doesn't really matter. And if you want to get bigger biceps, start training weighted chin-ups, as this variation of the pull-up will be biasing more of the short head and long head of your biceps. If you want to get a massive chest, start doing weighted push-ups and dips. And the list can literally go on for the rest of your upper body. Reason number 2 to start weighted calisthenics is you can diversify your strength and power with the use of weighted calisthenic exercises. Now, what does this mean exactly? Essentially, when you train weighted calisthenics as a whole, and let's say, for example, weighted chin-ups, that strength that you gain will only be suitable for that sole exercise. And in fact, it can carry over to other exercises in the gym, such as weightlifting, which I've proven to show time after time. For example, me as a guy who can rep out well over 100 pounds for many reps, I was able to get a pretty commendable barbell bicep curl of 175 pounds, and I even made a whole video on it. And recently, I was even able to do a 1 rep max of 80 pound with dumbbells. So it goes to show that even me, someone who doesn't really train those 2 exercises consistently, because I primarily focus my bicep training or my pulling training primarily for weighted chin-ups, and I got pretty good numbers, it's going to transfer over to the weights. And it's just no cap. There's no other way to go around it. Strength to strength, especially if you're doing relative strength, adding in more weight, it's just going to make the exercise that much more difficult. You're going to be exerting much more force. So going over to the gym, doing some curls is going to be a lot easier because you're not using the same muscles that you do on the chin up as you do to the biceps, in a way where you're not exerting as much force. Because if y'all think about it, chin ups, you got to engage your whole entire body. With bicep curls, you're just really just using your arms and your core for some degree, but that's pretty much it. So it goes to show that you're indirectly strengthening the right muscles, connective tissue, and overall exerted force with weighted calisthenics into weightlifting using one's raw power, all without even having to specifically train those weightlifting exercises. In my opinion, man, that's a huge W in my books, like no cap. And that's mainly because calisthenics in general teaches you how to recruit more motor units, such as the amount of resistance utilized in exercise or a high velocity component, the speed required to perform an exercise as fast as possible without breaking form. For example, when doing weighted chin-ups with heavy loads, in order for me to execute the exercises within my desired rep range, I have to contract pretty much every single muscle in my body so I can move as one unit. All while doing that, I have to pull myself up to the bar as fast as possible without breaking form. Otherwise, the weight that I'm working with is going to feel much heavier because my technique will go down, performance isn't optimized, and that can all lead to a miscalculated set or a failure of a set. And the thing is too, I'm doing this every single session, so I'm conditioning my body to be able to withstand heavy loads and move in a way where it's fast enough for me to complete that set within my desirable performance range. And honestly, I think that's why it's exactly the reason why I'm able to convert my strength in weighted calisthenics over onto the weights, because guys, with calisthenics, man, you're literally utilizing your entire body for your compound movements. With the weighted chin-ups, I'm not just pulling myself up to the bar, I'm literally engaging pretty much my entire back, retracting my scapula, using my forearms to grip the bar as hard as possible. Even my toes, man, I'm even going all the way down, flexing my toes, engaging my glutes, engaging my quads. Like, that's all stuff that we have to do in order to increase more motor units, which is ultimately going to be the enabling factor for us to recruit more power. So if we master just doing bodyweight chin-ups to perfection, moving up as fast as possible, start adding weight, doing the same thing with heavy numbers, and then we start doing something more simple like a dumbbell curl, like, bruh, we already have the aptitude, we already condition our body to be able to recruit a lot of motor units. So imagine putting, like, for example, all of that effort into just a dumbbell curl. Like, it just makes more sense when you like dumb it down that way. Now, the third reason as to why you need to start weighted calisthenics is because I'm actually offering free consultation calls where I'll be pretty much willing to answer any outstanding questions that you have regarding starting weighted calisthenics, breaking plateaus, and the best strength and hypertrophy strategies that I brainstormed, researched, planned, executed, and tested out for over the last 4 years, and just putting y'all on free game for 15 minutes. Like, you can't get better than that, you feel me? So make sure y'all check the link down below in the description or in the pinned comments to book your free call. Reason number 4 on why you need to start weighted calisthenics is because your training is going to be so much more simpler. Like, no cap, bruh. With weighted calisthenics, you don't have to worry about overcomplicating your training. Progress can be easily tracked. Exercise selection will be pretty much the same. All that you'll be doing is manipulating the amount of load that you use and the set and rep range. For example, I was able to get a massive bag with just 2 exercises, and here's how. For width, weighted pull-ups, and for thickness, ring inverted rows, or if I'm at a different gym, then a barbell or machine row. This allowed me to clearly understand what are exercises that I need to do each and every session, which honestly helped keep a lot of variables the same, including the tempo, the technique, and the overall exercise performance, which is all important because this all contributes to the rate of efficiency when it comes to training closer to muscular failure and optimizing your performance and exercise. So listen closely. If you're the type of person who trains over 3 exercises for your back, you're putting yourself at a disservice, man. You're doing it all wrong. But let me explain why and my reasoning as far as why it's easier to actually go a lot harder on just 2 exercises compared to like 4 or 5, especially if it's a major muscle group like your back. And the likelihood of you physically or mentally keeping note of how you perform on those exercises is greater when there's less on your plate. Just think about it. The less exercises there are, the more you can exert that much effort and time, versus if there's a lot on your plate, you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. You got to kind of put it that way. It makes more sense for me to be able to go hard on 2 movements and track all the top sets pretty much, versus doing that for like 3 to 5 exercises. To me, that just doesn't make sense. And that's the reason why I'm able to keep things simple with weighted calisthenics, specifically on how I built my back. Now, the next reason why everyone needs to start weighted calisthenics is because you're going to stay fairly lean. Because we're training our relative strength, those who have a combination of less body fat and overall weight tends to perform calisthenics better than most. Now imagine if you're adding extra weight on top of your own body weight. Not only will you be building muscle, but the likelihood of you staying lean will be in your favor, because the same principles applies by training our relative strength with standard calisthenics. Now let's put it back on me. There's never been a point in my life when I started my own fitness journey of calisthenics where I've been, objectively speaking, not lean and carrying an excess amount of body fat. Like, that's just was not going to happen. Not because only my nutrition, but also the way I'm training. Like, even when I was in my peak bulking phase, right, weighing at 205 pounds at 5'10", 205 is pretty hefty for me, but I was still able to have visible abs. And it's all because weighted calisthenics was keeping me in check. If I did happen to carry an excess amount of body fat, let's say anywhere between 18 to 20% or above, my weighted chin-ups and dips will easily start to plummet. And if you don't know, when training relatively to your body weight, any weight on top of that is not going to be useful towards your training, better known as your fat. So The more fat you carry, the less likely you're going to be able to perform better in calisthenics. Okay, same thing applies to weighted calisthenics. Then our sixth reason as to why you need to start training weighted calisthenics is going to help indirectly increase your static skills. Now, this point was actually set over by Matthew Yeager, and he said it will have a nice strength foundation for static skills, which honestly I completely agree, and so do many others. Shout out Ahmed Mufasa, Louis Hurnard, Ken C62, and many others who pretty much align with this reasoning. For example, I actually tested out my front lever a couple days ago, and keep in mind, I was able to unlock my front lever for about maybe 2 or 3 seconds at best, right? And I didn't train it for 2 years. I came back, attempted to train it, and boom, I was still able to hold it for about a second or two. So the fact that I was able to not only maintain my front lever, but also not training it for 2 whole years shows something. And it's primarily because I've been training my weighted pull-ups and also my weighted chin-ups. But hey, what do I know? If you like to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm the Tough Fitness Guy out here. No cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's number one out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.